Shalom, shalom, akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. I would also like to give a double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. I would also like to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. It's just Bayan back again through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to get into a quick lesson, and Lord willing, share another article with you, Akiyam and Akwath. Pretty much going into some information that pretty much just manifested today with the World Health Organization. For those of you that don't know, it's a United Nations specialized agency. And what has just come into fruition is the Biden regime has given all sovereignty to the WHO in the time of a pandemic. And I'm going to have to speak in code with saying that word from here on out as we go into the article, so on and so forth, to use wisdom. But needless to say, we'll call it a pandem. But yeah, all sovereignty has been given to them in the time of a pandem, which pretty much gives them all access to issuing full lockdowns, mandating VACs, juices. They're able to enforce draconian measures in the time of a pandem. So this is heavy right here. This is pretty much the beginning stages of all hell breaking loose, because as we look around us, we see that these devils, starting with the elite, they're setting up the stage, for the next pandem. All these train derailments carrying, chemicals that are now airborne. And it's easy for them to create that narrative now that they have all their pieces in place. But needless to say, ultimately, we know, us Akiyam and Akwath, that it's the works of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And this is the way, things are going to transition to bring in the Jacob's trouble, man. Yeah, it's prophecy. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. But needless to say, this pretty much will throw away the Constitution when in effect. It pretty much just completely throws it out the window. So, yeah, this is heavy information right here. And hey, Lord willing, this thing starts to speed up faster, so we can get to the kingdom. But needless to say, before I get this article, let's grab this real quick in the book of, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Let's grab this in the book of Psalms, chapter 64. And that's the spirit. I was just in here yesterday, and we're back in here again. Let's go, right? The book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 5, and it reads, "They encourage themselves in an evil matter." Who's they? These elite, man. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. And in their eyes, they're in their mind, rather, hey, no one sees them. But the men of the Lord do. The Akiyam and Akwath, men, women, and children that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is dealing with, sees them. And we know what these devils are doing, man. Let's read this again from the top. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares, right? Which is what? Traps. A snare is a trap, right? Privily, right? So privately. They say, who shall see them? See that? And the masses don't see them. Because the masses of you people are drunk, and not with wine or strong drink. See, the masses of you are drunk off of life. You're drunk off the philosophies of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You're drunk off your career, right? You're drunk off of your vainglory. See, the masses, they're drunk off their corruptible crowns, man. Not realizing that all hell is about to break loose. And this damn demon is about to come down with great wrath. And he's setting up the scenario as I speak. You know, I brought it up earlier through the Spirit. All these events that are taking place, around the country, around the world for that matter. But we'll keep it, specific to, Babylon the Great, with these train derailments, these, trucks, these truck accidents, carrying chemicals. What a coincidence. This damn devil's setting up the stage. Setting it up, but not realizing he's going to end up falling on his own sword. He's going to fall on his own sword. He thinks he's being slick, but he's going to fall on his own sword. Let's continue on. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, right? They search out iniquities, man. You see? And we know iniquity sit on top of sin. But what I wanted to do, let's get this real quick. In the blue letter.
Strong's H 5766. Evel. Second entry. Avel. Third entry. Avla.
Right, so they search out iniquities, right? Injustice in the biblical usage. Unrighteousness. See, which is that sin on top of sin? Right, wrong. Right, so they search out what? Wickedness, man. Evil. There you go. Under the Strong's definitions. Perverseness. Wickedness. See? This is what this man does. Because he's unjust. And scripture says he searches these things out. And he does it diligently. Let's read it again from the top. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. You see? Scripture says they're wiser than Daniel. And this man is wise in wickedness. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. See, so this damn devil does a deep search, man, on how to destroy the people. Starting with our so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. He knows everything about you, Jake. Everything about you. Why do you think he's made pork a delicacy? Seafood, as far as shellfish, crab, shrimp, lobster, delicacies, scallops. Why? Because he knows it destroys you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And you're the main one slobbering all over it, man. You see that? This damn devil knows what he's doing when it comes to this wickedness, man. And this is why when we get into this article, he's being real cunning and slick and how he moved forward with this transition he did, right? Now, this is from Natural News, and it's titled, Salaki, it's dated March 6, 2023. It was today. And the title reads, Biden regime surrenders U.S. sovereignty to WHO. No more medical freedom, especially during a health emergency. You see that? Why? Because they're able to mandate sauces, man. Where you gotta do it. This is what this is going into. Hey, things are about to get crazy, man. But this is what we need. As Akiyam and Akwath know, this is what we need. Right, let's get this, right? It reads, thanks to fake President Joe Biden, Americans are losing their medical freedom. The Biden regime this week affirmed its commitment to what is described as a legally binding accord that grants the WHO total control over the U.S. every time there is a pandemic. You see that? They have total control anytime there's a pandemic. Why this and why now? After everything we've been seeing happen in America and in Babylon, with all these chemical spills that are now magically they're airborne now. You see? You can pretty much see where Evil E's going with this thing, man. The next pandemic is coming. And like Hell Gates said, this time is going to be a real one. See? This time it's going to be a real, it's not going to be a trial. No, when lockdown, and which they can enforce, which they can control as well. Inhumane lockdowns is what they can also, what they're going to have power to issue. And you better believe this time UN troops are going to be on the scene. Remember, this is a United Nations specialized agency. You must remember that. Right, let's continue on. A statement from Ambassador Pamela Hamamoto at the WHO's fourth meeting of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body opens with a canned condemnation of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, calling it an unprovoked, unjustified war. And then it then segues into the Biden regime's commitment to the pandemic accord, Salakia, which is described as a major component of the global health architecture for generations to come, right? Because this is going to be part of the structure of that draconian measure that's taken when this is enforced, man. You see? Just like when you have certain draconian laws that are enforced, if there was a what's the term? If they issued martial law, man. You see? You have summary executions that are now on the table, for an example. You see, this is gonna open up a whole new way of doing things if it's enforced under the terms of a pandemic, right? It's not gonna be like the last one. No, it's gonna get hectic out here, man. Let's continue on. We seek a pandemic accord that builds capabilities, reduces pandemic threats posed by zoonotic diseases, right? Enables rapid and more equitable responses and establishes sustainable financing, government, and accountability to ultimately break the cycle of panic and neglect. Now, when you get this, when you go into these zoonotic diseases, right? This is what it's going into. Let me go down real quick. No, this is not what I want. Let's get it here. Zoonotic diseases are infections that are spread between people and animals. These infections are caused by germs such as V's, bacteria, parasites, and fungi. Some can be severe and life-threatening, such as rabies, and others may be milder and get better on their own. Zoonotic diseases are very common. Why do you think that is? Because Evil E made it very common. They don't have the CDC for no reason. In this last situation that took place, what did they say? It happened in Wuhan by a bat or something. Eating some one of those Moabites eating a bat or had a bat at a. Come on, man. This man is he's easily figured out. Salakia, let's go back to the article. Let's get a little more. Biden is bypassing the need for Senate approval by avoiding calling it Pandem Accord, a treaty. You see? By avoiding calling its Pandem Accord a treaty. And what's a treaty? An agreement. A law, right? Even though it has the full force of one. You see that? And through the Spirit, I did a little looking around. And months ago, just months ago, they were calling it a treaty. So back in December 5th, 2022, right? I found this on the O'Neill Institute, Georgetown Law, right? For National and Global Health Law, right? And it reads Pandem Treaty, right? The conceptual zero draft. And this is what we're reading into in that article. This is exactly what we're going into, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this in the description box for you, Akiam and Akwa. Is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I just wanted to get, I'm not even going to read into it. I'm going to leave this in the description box, Lord willing. This is exactly what we're going into. Months ago, they were calling it a treaty. Okay? Now let me get back to the audio. Let me see something here. Let me read a little bit of this to prove that, right? In Geneva this week, international leaders have converged to discuss a so-called zero draft of the agreement. See? This is exactly what they were talking about months ago, and they were calling it a treaty. Okay? Salakia. Which would hand over near limitless power to the WHO to not only manage a global pandemic emergency, but also to declare one on a whim. You see that? This is what they're doing, man. This man went from calling it a treaty to not calling it a treaty. Why? Because they don't want to have to go through the hula hoops. They don't want to have to go through the hula hoops, man. Because time is ticking. Time is ticking for him, man. He's not straight up. This man speaks with a forked tongue. And you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are going to realize that too late. Let me get a quick precept. Let's get this real quick in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 4, and it reads, Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, right? Because he's proud. He's a proud man, as it's going to say in the 5th verse. And in the book of Jeremiah, these devils are coined as the most proud. And Obadiah, he's coined as proud. See? Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. And the just are the hopeful elect, man. The just are going to live by faith, trusting in things that they can't see, trusting in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, our power, the power of Yasha Allah. But it says, right, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Now let's get this word real quick. I should have just went to the blue letter. Salakia. Let's get this word upright real quick.
Strong's H 3474. Yasher. Yasher.
All right. To be right, Be straight, be level, be upright. You see? Be just, be lawful, be smooth. You see? He's not straight up. He's a crooked serpent. The same serpent from the garden, man. See? And the phone chimed in. He's not direct. See that? See? Here it is. Months ago they were calling it the treaty, but now they're calling it something different. Why? Because they don't want to have to go through the hula hoops, man. There's a process to issuing the treaty, and we're going to show you that through the Spirit. Right? Let's get a little more. As a matter of fact, let me get that now. Now, matter of fact, let me read a little more. Let's get a little bit more of this. Once a health emergency is declared, every signatory to the zero draft, including the U.S., must relinquish its national sovereignty and hand over all authority and power to the WHO, you see, which operates as the public health arm of the United Nations. And again, remember, this is a United Nations specialized agency, man. You better believe UN troops are going to be involved if they issue a lockdown. Right, let's continue on. This includes caving to them on treatments, lockdowns, see, and VACs, right, mandates, along with government surveillance, see, explains the Gateway pundit. Even more chilling. See that? So, hey, before I even continue, hey, it ain't gonna be the same as last time. This lockdown, when it's issued, hey, you ain't gonna be moving around. This is why when you go to 2nd Ezra, real quick, and this is not meant to be long. I'm gonna close out in a second. I just want to get one more piece of information, Lord willing. Let's get this real quick though. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. In verse 17, it reads, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Them lockdowns, man. Hey, there's going to be military presence. You're not going to be moving around on the low because you feel like it this time when they issue one. No. Them UN troops are going to be on your street with them boots, man. You see? With them boots on. You ain't going to be moving around, man. Let's get a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more of this. Even more chilling, the Biden regime does not feel they need to submit this agreement for Senate approval because they are not calling it an official treaty, despite it having the full force of one, right? And that's why months ago they were calling it one. For the past year, the Biden regime has been negotiating the terms of this agreement with the WHO. It is being carefully crafted to avoid having to include Congress while still allowing maximum power and authority to be handed over to the globalists. You see that? And again, the reason why they don't want to go through Congress is because that's a process. And this is what it looks like. And Lord willing, I'm going to put this in the description box too. Right? This is a international legal research tutorial, right? And this is the U.S. treaties and agreements, the process. Okay? Now, when you jump down, right, to the outline of the treaty making process, right? This is the outline, right? Secretary of State authorizes the negotiation, right? The U.S. representatives negotiate, right? A lot of negotiating, right? Agree on terms, and upon authorization of Secretary of State, sign treaty, right? President submits treaty to Senate. Senate Foreign Relations Committee considers treaty and reports to Senate. See, it's a process. Senate considers and approves by 2/3 majority. President proclaims entry into force. This is a process. Guess what? This process takes time. And that's time Evil E doesn't have. See? This damn devil knows he's running out of time. Now he's just like, the hell with it. Because ultimately it's the elite calling these shots. But they're like, no, we're gonna bypass all that Hollywood time. Because all it is an act. All it is an act. You know? Now they're showing their horns. They're like, no, make it happen. We're gonna bypass all that. You know, because at the end of the day, Biden's a puppet. All these officials are puppets. See? They're not calling shots. They're being given shots to execute. You see? But back to my point, the reason why they're bypassing this process is because Evil E's running out of time and he knows it. All right? And this is going to bring in that wrath he's coming with pursuant to Revelations. Let's close out here. This is a serious transition. You know, giving the WHO power full sovereignty in the time of a pandemic. This is not a light thing. But this is beautiful though, because again, that's Aki Amanakwa. And we know what we need. And we need all hell to break loose, man. So we can get to the kingdom. The book of Revelation, chapter 12. So you 2/3 so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, you ain't ready for what's coming. Lord willing, we are. Lord willing, that's Aki Amanakwa. Right? The book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12, and it reads, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Right? All of us that know this truth, starting with the men of the Lord. And you men, women, and children that believe the report, and you're dwelling within the counsels of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And you're walking in righteousness. We need to rejoice. We should be rejoicing right now. This information should have us rejoicing. See? Them throwing away the Constitution under a pandemic. Let's rejoice. This is what we need. This is that judgment's about to come down, man. From Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That judgment. We should be rejoicing because we're that much closer to the kingdom. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. See that? All you other people, man. Woe to you. Why? For the devil is come down unto you. And who's the devil? It's not some man down under the earth, okay, with red spandex on, horns, and a pitchfork with a tail. No. A devil goes into a deceiver, a slanderer, a false accuser. The devil that the Bible speaks of is none other than Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, starting with the elite. Okay? Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. Why? Because he knoweth that he had but a short time. Evil E knows his clock is ticking. This is why this man's not playing games no more. He's bypassing all this Senate shit. No. Put it into effect. See? Ain't no time in saying they see Jake waking up. They see Yasha Allah standing on their feet in great boldness. Fears falling upon them, man. Because that deliverance is right around the corner. Yahweh Shai is on his way. And these devils know it, man. But nothing they do, it doesn't matter how fast they move. It doesn't matter how many times they push that doomsday clock back. 90 seconds. It don't matter. Game over. All right, pursuing the second Ezra 6 and 9, man. Let's close out with that. Let's just close out with that. The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 9, and it reads, for Esau, right? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. For Esau is the end of the world. And that world is going into an eon, a space of time, man. This is the time of evil E. This is the time of the heathens. But guess what? For Esau is the end of the world. He's the end of this time. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. Jacob consists of who? Of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Israel, man. The true Israelites of the Bible. And there will be speckled birds. Pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 64, we've been scattered. So there are going to be Israelites that look like the other nations. All right, but their bloodline goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And their spirit bears witness to the spirit that they are a child of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. See, this is the time we're coming. We're coming into the time of Jacob, man. And pursuant to the scriptures, all hell's gotta break loose in order for the kingdom to come into fruition, man. So this is beautiful, man. We should be rejoicing to this right here. We should be rejoicing, right? Let's go. Lord willing, this happens sooner than later. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quedash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, while length is 144% truth. Lord willing, you Akiyam and Akwath will edify. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kal Halalim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quedash. Shalom.